Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be rocking this makeup look, which is perfect for fall. For today's tutorial, I started with my base already applied. I used the Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation along with Amazing Cosmetics Concealer to correct and highlight, and then I set everything with Makeup Forever HD Pressed Powder. Not my favorite powder, but I've told you guys before I'm trying to use it because I have it. So starting with the eyes, since all of that is already done, I am using Max Bamboo as my transition shade, which is going to help me blend later, and it's also going to help me start to build my crease. So I like to use a nice, large, fluffy brush. If you have smaller eyes than me or a smaller lid space, you're going to use a smaller brush, but you want to concentrate this color in the crease and blend up and out as the product leaves the brush. The rest of our shadows are going to come from the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea eyeshadow palette. This was limited edition, but they brought it back and it is available on their website now. I'm using the shade Sand to highlight the brow bone, just placing that right under the arch and then blending out from there to add the most lift to the highest point of the face, and I also threw that in the inner corner. I'm using the two darkest shades in the palette, Abyss and Reef, to build the color on the outer third of the eye, through the crease, as well as on the inner third of our lid, because this is going to be a halo eye. So what I do is I concentrate on the outer third of the lid, I pack the color there, and then I start to blend inward through the crease. Then I move over to the inner third of the lid, and I don't put a lot of product on the brush for the inner third of the lid. I really build that product slowly because I want to make sure to keep it nice and tight on the inner third of the lid and not go onto the inner corner. You also want to connect that darker color through the crease, and then once you're done, use a clean, small, fluffy brush to blend that brown out so that it doesn't go too high on the eye. Next, we're going to be using the lighter pink shade in the palette. I believe it's called Mermaid, and we're going to pat that onto the center of our eye. This is going to help a pop go onto our eyeball. And if you need to, because maybe some blending issues, or if you took the light color out too far, you can go back and touch up either side of your darker crease color. So for the lower lash line, I'm starting by putting the transition shade, again that was MAC Bamboo, all over the lower lash line. This doesn't add a lot as far as color goes, but it does help me blend down there. So that's why I do that. Then I'm using the shade Reef, which is one of the colors I mixed for my crease, and I'm gonna add that, concentrating the color on the outer corner, and then as the product leaves the brush, I'm gonna blend it inward. This is gonna help us start to build smokiness, but since it's not as dark, it's not gonna overwhelm things, and once the product leaves the brush, we are gonna take it all the way across so that's a little lighter there. So now let's watch me do some really awkward tight lining and water lining. Sorry about these crazy shots, but this is gonna help us to have really full looking lashes, and it's also going to define and dramatize our look. So once you get those on, we're gonna go back to the lower lash line. I'm taking the darkest shade Abyss. Again, I did use this before, and I'm concentrating that color on the outer corner and then just slightly blending inwards. And I did I did make sure to connect my lower and my top eyeshadow work. Okay, and then I did want a structured contour, so I took a small eyeshadow brush. This is an E40 from Sigma with a nice grayish contour color, and I'm really using that to hug and scoop out my contour, or my cheekbone. As you can see, I'm doing this sweeping motion, which really helps to soften my cheekbone because I have very straight cheekbones. It adds a nice softness to it. And then I want it structured, but I don't want it harsh, so I went back in and blended that out with a big, fluffy, clean brush. And I'm going right on top of it with bronzer. This is going to help warm up the face as well as add some life and some health and some color back to it because we get really flat with our base. I'm also going to take that bronzer. I'm using Suntan by Smashbox, by the way, and I'm going to take this on the sides of my forehead, the perimeter of my face, so my hairline, as well as my jawline. And I also like to take mine down my neck because it helps to spread out the color and make everything look nice and even. So things look more natural if they extend down to your neck than if they're just on your face. I also hit the sides of my nose with bronzer because it helps to, again, spread out that color, make everything look nice and cohesive, and it also helps me to make my nose look more narrow. So for blush, I'm using Smashbox Geranium blush, and I'm just starting at the apples of my cheeks and then blending backward and a little bit upward towards my bronzer. Then I'm using the Skin Twinkle, I always say Skin Twinkle palette from Tarte, highlighting the tops of my cheekbones, going upward in that V shape and hitting the top of the brow as well. I also like to do the Cupid's bow because I just like it, to be honest. Then I'm using the NYX lip liner in Ever, and I'm gonna just trace and fill in my lips. This is it's a nude, but it has some berry tones in it, so it's pretty natural. It's pretty Your Lips But Better. It's definitely not bold, very, very great for everyday wear. And then I wanted to add a little extra oomph, so I took a very nude lipstick that I can't really wear on its own, and I popped that in the center of my top and bottom lip just to give it some highlight and a little bit more plumpness. Blending that out with my fingers, and I felt like it just didn't blend as well as I'd like it to. These are both really dry, matte formulas, so I had to go back in with my lip liner and kind of work things out again and yeah, make sure everything was nice and blended. You can go back in and tap with your fingers if you need to. So I hope you guys enjoyed the look. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. The bat is that you want to make sure to wash your rocks prior to starting. I did this with soap and hot water. They just seem to have like a little coating